Nightmare walking, psychopath talking, king of the jungle, just a vampire stalking. Nightmare walking.
So how's it going, guys? So this is Wake Up Part 4. And as stated in the little, I guess you can say Wake Up, Take a Break video, um, this video, Part 4, is going to touch more on the Georgia Guidestones and the Rosicrucians. Mainly because the Guidestones, in theory, and according to many conspiracy theorists, are linked to the Rosicrucian order. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Rosicrucian order, I've done some research on this, and what I've read is I find to be actually interesting. So the one thing about the Rosicrucian order is it's a religious faction, much like Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, stuff like that. However, this is a religious faction that predates Christianity. And it's not so much that they're big on religious views. They're the first religion out there that embrace scientific and logical thinking. So, how you may be asking at this point, how does this make them affiliated with the Georgia Guidestones? Coincidentally enough, the actual name of the person who came up with these Guidestones, to this day is still unknown, aside from the handle that he went by, which was R.C. Christian. And it's theorized that he took that handle from one of the founding members of the Rosicrucians. Now, again, this is all theory, but when I tell you the commandments that are on these tablets, again, for those of you who don't already know, it may start to bring things into better light. But a little bit more on the Rosicrucians. So, like I said, they're the only, I can't say the only religion, but they were the first religion to embrace scientific and logical thinking. They are a religion that believes in man basically coexisting with nature on even terms, and stuff like that. And like I said, I read up about them. I found a lot of the shit interesting, clear down to the Rose Cross. And again, even that I found to be extremely interesting because, at least according to what I read, it doesn't hold any kind of symbolism with Christianity, Catholicism, or any other religion out and about today. For the Rosicrucians, the cross is a symbolic representation of human blood. I'm sorry, the human body. My bad, the human body. And the rose represents the individual's unfolding consciousness. The thing with the Rosicrucians is they want you, all of their members, everyone that joins, seems to gain this higher knowledge, a a higher understanding of the world around them. Now, could this possibly mean that they are the world's first conspiracy theorists? It very well could be possible, but I don't think that's the type of knowledge that they're really trying to gain. Because, like I said, they're more interested in man being able to coexist with nature on even terms. Um, and after I've learned what I've learned about the Rosicrucians and read up on the Georgia Guidestones and stuff like that, and I'll be getting more into detail with this later on in the video. It really makes it seem as if the Rosicrucians are the shadow government, the government behind the world's government. And like I said, I'll be getting more into that theory a little later on in the video. Sorry, I got all kinds of shit going off around me right now. Um, so we're going to move away from the Rosicrucians now. We're going to focus more on the Guidestones themselves. So the first thing I want to touch on is the languages that are found on the Guidestones, on the tablets themselves. There are 8 languages. There are 2 languages on each stone. These languages are Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, Russian, and English. That's those 8 languages. Along with that, there's an additional 4 languages along each side, each of the 4 sides of the stone that is on top and connecting these 4 tablets. Now, the one language here I'm not familiar with, I think it's Sanskrit, something like that. But there's that one. There is Classical Greek, Babylonian, I can't pronounce the last one, but it's Babylonian text, basically. And then there's Egyptian hieroglyphics. And for those of you who are familiar with the UFO theories and stuff like that, it's theorized that King Akhenaten, or Akhenaten, however you want to pronounce the name, it's theorized in the UFO community that he was quote-unquote an alien king, that he was one of the first alien hybrids on the planet, mainly because he did not look like other human depictions from that same era. Some people have his skull, for example. Some scientists have made the claim that the deformity in the skull was due to skull binding and shit like that, despite the fact that there's a lack of evidence to support the skull binding connection, or I'm sorry, theory. They also claim, the theory also goes that he was possibly the offspring of an extraterrestrial, because he was the only pharaoh in history that changed the entire Egyptian religion. And it seemed like he did it overnight. There were originally 15 or 16 Egyptian gods. He narrowed it down to one god named Aten, referred to as the sun god or the sun disk. Coincidentally enough, Akhenaten or Akhenaten, how you pronounce it is up to you, claimed to be the living embodiment to Aten, which is where that part of the theory comes in. But getting a little off the beaten path here. So, Again, the 8 languages on the stones are English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese. And then again, the other 4 languages on the capstone are Babylonian, Classical Greek, um, Egyptian hieroglyphics, and like I said, Sanskrit, something like that. Um, Now, one thing I do want to touch on real quick here is the weight of all these stones. Now, granted, I do believe they had some, I guess, some kind of machinery back when these stones were created. But basically, these are the main stones themselves. The outer stones are 42,000 pounds. Center stone is another 20,000, and the capstone's another 24,000. Again, I do believe they had access to some kind of technology back when these stones were created. I'm not exactly sure. But as I did more research on them, I started finding a few other things, and I'm going to leave a couple of links for the guide stones that you guys can look into. I'm also going to leave a couple of links for the Rosicrucian Order. So you guys can read up on that as well, along with the standard links concerning the Blue Planet Project, as well as the Alien Encyclopedia link that I've thrown in as well. So, what I'm about to read to you is something from the base of the Guidestone. So, just to round this up real quick, at the base of the Guidestone is an explanatory tablet listing some of the details of the structure. Um, and the interesting part here is what's mentioned last on this structure. So this is astronomic features. Um, Let me see here. Channel through stones indicates celestial pole. Horizontal slots indicate annual travel of the sun. Sunbeam through capstone marks moon time. I'm sorry, noontime throughout the year. So that's the first thing about the guidestones is they were obviously constructed to coincide with the stars, at some level. The author of the stones was R.C. Christian. A I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that word, name, whatever it may be. The sponsors that he had was a small group of Americans who seek the age of reason. And that's what the Rosicrucians are about. They're about kind of ushering in an age of reason, which is basically an age of peace. However, their theory, their belief on ushering in that age of reason is concerning the population on the planet, the human population on this planet. So to round it off, at the very bottom of all this, it says time capsule. Place 6 feet below this spot on and to be open on. Now, those dates are blank. And the one thing that came to my mind when I read that is if it's true and there is a time capsule buried 6 feet beneath these guide stones, what's in it? What's the purpose of the time capsule? Who's meant to open it? And when's it meant to be open? And really, I think what it comes down to is there's a select group or the sponsors of RC Christian that really only know the answers to that. And really, I think they're the ones that are at some point supposed to open up this capsule and use to their advantage whatever may be in the capsule. So now, as to what the commandment-like phrases are on the guide stones themselves, and I'm going to leave the one for the human population last because I'm going to give you an exact number for the human population on the planet because last time I did, I gave you a rough estimate of about 8 billion. I was a few 100 million people off. Since then, I will touch real quick. I have an exact uh, population clock running on my computer right now for the current world's population. It gives me the births of every day, deaths, the current population today. Population growth of today, births this year, deaths this year, and the population growth of this year. And after I give you that number, I will talk about the commandment that I'm saving for last. So, from the bottom up, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Prize truth, beauty, love. Seek harmony with the infinite. Now, before I go any further there, the thing there about prizing truth, beauty, love. The biggest thing for me right there is prize truth. And that's what the conspiracy theory community is all about. We want the truth. We want the government to tell the entire planet the truth about what's going on. Um, and that's what kind of makes me feel like, hey, these might be the first ever, conspiracy theorists to walk the planet. This could be the largest group of conspiracy theorists on the planet. Either way, it to the naked eye, you read this and it's just like, oh, this is bullshit or this is beautiful, something like that. But to some of us, the first thing we see is prize truth, and especially if you're a conspiracy theorist, that's what you want. We all deserve to be told the truth. Oh, shit. Oh, excuse me. So moving on from that. Balance personal rights with social duties. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Sounds like money-hungry government to me. And I agree, we need to avoid that shit. um, Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. And to touch on this real quick, for every single person living in America right now, I think with everything that's been going on here lately, and we know what's been going on, I think we can all say that we are living not only in unjust times, but in practically an unjust country at this point. To put it to you like this, there are some pretty harsh countries out there. The harshest country on the planet is probably more just than we are at this point. Nobody is safe anymore. But that's just my opinion. Let's see. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. You this is another thing that really sparks in the whole, conspiracy thing. Unite humanity with a living new language. Now, this touches on something that every conspiracy theorist should already know, and that's that the world's government is trying to create just that, a whole world government, a quote unquote new world order. And they're wanting to do it under one religion, one language. You know, that they want to rule with that iron fist. And before I finish these commandments and that, the guidestones have been um, under vandalism since their conception. They have been spray painted and just all in all vandalized by what I'm assuming is religious factions like Christianity, talking about you will not win Satan, and shit like that. And you know, you have to stop and think that yes, while to religious factions this might be the work of the devil, um, there's support in these tablets though for what the government's been trying to do for decades. So while the religious people are fighting a losing war there, the whole country's fighting a losing war because it's our government that's doing all this shit. And this was another thing that led me to believe that the Rosicrucians are the ones pulling all the strings. To sum it up very simply, they are the puppet masters, and the governments of the United States, of Russia, China, Japan, Australia, even the Vatican, they are the puppets. There's been a lot of people speculate that it's an alien presence that operates in the shadow government, which I'm not going to rule out as well, because it very well might be true. But when it comes down to religious and government factions, the Rosicrucians seem to be the ones really pulling the strings to the government. One thing I did find interesting about the Rosicrucians, no one knows the name of any of their members. It's impossible for outsiders of the or from that, you know, outsiders know the name of order members, because from what I understand, back when the order was conceived, if a member were to talk of their membership of the Rosicrucian order, they were dealt with very severely. Um, it, and you know that brought out a fear for most people, which is why to this day no one knows the true name of R.C. Christian. No one knows the real name of the man who founded the Rosicrucians, and just shit like that. So to continue on, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. And the big one, now to give you that number of the current world population. It is not 8 billion. It is approximately. What the fuck just happened to. The clock just disappeared. Why did it fucking disappear? So, anyway, back on track now. So, the approximate world population is 7,585,000. I'm sorry, 585,911,600 and climbing. There have been 197,000 births today, 81,000 deaths, making the population growth for today 115,000 and climbing. Births this year 130,000, deaths this year I'm sorry, 130 million. Deaths, 54 million. Population growth this year, 76.5 million and climbing. Now into the last commandment. Now that you know those numbers and that statistic. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. There is, now to touch real quick, there is a stone next to this monument that says, "Let these be guide stones into an age of reason." The age of reason is an age of peace. And right now, with the world's population being where it's at, we've seen a great amount of war. And prior to our numbers being this great, there wasn't that much war. It was an age of reason, basically. According to scientists, the maximum capacity of the human race that the Earth can support is 10 billion. As you heard by the numbers, we are just a little under two. I'm sorry, a little over 2 billion um, people away from capping that off. But as you just heard from the guidestones, I'm assuming according to the Rosicrucians, um, the appropriate number for humanity on Earth is under 500 billion. Meaning right now there are 7.5 billion people on this planet. In order for us to live in perpetual balance with nature, over 7 billion people would have to die. Meaning 90% of the human population on the planet would have to be eradicated in order for things to balance out again. One thing I do agree with, and I've agreed with this for many years, is that the human race is a cancer. And it's a cancer that is killing this planet. Do I think we need to start living better in order to keep our planet around? Yes. Will it happen? That's still to be seen. Yes, you have a lot of nature conservation groups out there who would like to think they're making a difference. They're really not. The human race is a cancer. Plain and simple, and I have plenty of conspiracy theory colleagues that are going to agree with me on this. The biggest cancer of this planet is the human race. And it's getting to the point now that we are outgrowing this planet, which is why the government is looking into colonizing Mars. There's even been rumors of China wanting to colonize on the moon. So this is obviously going to be a 30-minute, maybe a little over 30-minute video. So what's the point of me telling you all this? Why would I make videos saying wake up? Because if we don't wake up, if we don't start fighting back, everything is going to end very abruptly. Now the world's going to end no matter what. We know that. But if we don't do something very quickly, if we don't stop the government and factions like the Rosicrucians from achieving this dark mission that they're trying to achieve, if we don't find a way to tear the veil down from sites like CERN and Area 51 and the Dulce base and any government installation around the planet, when everything finally does come to the light, we're all just literally going to panic. The only ones who won't panic are the ones who, one, knew about it, and two, those of us who were called crazy, the conspiracy theorists. Why make videos called Wake Up? Why disclose this information to you, revealing my face? I do not fear the government. I do not fear what they can do to me. I have means of protecting myself. If an MIB agent were to come to my door right now, they would tell me, shut your mouth. And if I didn't shut up, they'd say, if you don't, we're going to have to eradicate you. I don't fear death. I've already seen the gates of hell on more than one occasion. I don't fear the government. And I don't fear whatever entity is in my apartment with me at any given time. I don't fear these things. Why disclose this information? Why try to open the eyes of not only the American public but the world population? Why? Because we need to make a stand. This planet doesn't belong to the government. And quite frankly, with what I've seen in my UFO research, it doesn't belong to the human race, period. But if we continue to allow the government to do what they're doing, it's not going to matter either way. With what CERN over in Geneva, Switzerland is trying to accomplish, between what goes on with Area 51 and the Dulce base, the shit that goes on with HARP and the Blue Beam Project, it's all going to come to an abrupt end. Whether it be from extraterrestrials, a man-made storm that can't be stopped, or CERN opening the portal allowing giants or Nephilim to come in and eradicate the planet. It's all going to end. It could be a natural disaster. It's all going to end. But we can prolong it if we just stand up and fight back. On my personal Facebook page, look me up under Charles Asbury. Alright? Yes, I put a lot of rants on Facebook, like many people do. But one thing I've been putting on Facebook here very recently is, a bunch of wake up posts. Saying that we need to take a stand. Saying that we need to tear down the veil. Saying that basically we need to wake the fuck up. Because we do. We need to wake up. We need to put an end to this stuff. And a very, very common trait that you're going to find in those posts is something I put at the end. And it's a variation of a couple of the same thing. Be the hunters, not the hunted. And make the hunters, or turn the hunters into the hunted. And that's what it all comes down to. We have to wake up. We have to take a stand. We have to take the hunters, the government, and turn them into the hunted. Turn them into what they've made us, the hunted. We are the prey. They are the predator. We need to reverse the role. Take a stand, guys. Let's take back control. Stay tuned. Part 5 will be coming up. And quite frankly, with me, you never know what I'm going to talk about. So again, stay tuned.